yeah. Gone on you with the pick and roll. Younger flame, he in sicko mode.
Right, it's now Saturday. I never came down on Friday night because I was absolutely knackered from working all Thursday night on the pickup. So today we've got a few things to do. Got to finish off getting these hydros back on. So on Thursday night I managed to get the passenger side mounted up, front and rear shocks are mounted up. I started drilling the holes. As you know, I basically mocked up where I was going to mount stuff. Got a few bits done. Today we're going to sort the rest of that stuff out now. So I've bought a hole saw now, so I can get these holes here drilled wide enough to fit the lines through. Got one that's slightly bigger, so it'll go straight through. I've also got myself 6 bolts for the top mounts, so 3 for each side. So now I don't have to keep bodging stuff. And I've also got these bolts which I'm going to use to mount the spring box to the bed and to mount the pump to the inside of the car. The hole saw's not doing anything. It is literally just getting bounced about. It's when this focuses. That's all the mark it's made. I'm calling the hole saw off as a lost cause. I don't think that's going to work at all. I'm now just trying to come up with an idea of what I can do to get through it. But what I've decided to do is I'm going to cut out the metal underneath. I'm going to cut out the bed from about here to about here on each side, all the way across. I think I'm just going to cut a full section out, because then what I'm going to do is I'm going to notch it in the corners, and just notch a little square out of each 4 corners, and then weld the bed back in. So then once it's back in, you won't be able to even tell that I'd chopped it out. So I've got my grinder. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to chop a square section out from here to here. Now what I've ended up with is potentially the worst cut hole you will ever see. So this is the point that I've got to, and it looks a mess. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to chop out a piece originally, just chop out a square piece so I had access to cut where they needed the holes. So I've now got this access, and I've cut these out, and I've notched all 4 corners. Got a big nice notch in them so that when it comes to welding them back in, I can weld this piece back in now, and I've got plenty of room now to get them in. But yeah, basically, it looks messy at the minute, but this is how I've had to do it. I'm glad I've done it like this because it gives me a chance to weld some supporting from the underneath. I'm going to sit like that, and it's going to have 4 notches out of each corner, and that is exactly where the line's going to run through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld all the sides that are touching, weld them all up. I'm going to weld the support underneath here as well to the frame. So once that's welded in, mount these up and get the lines in properly. So yeah, so they all line up perfect. You can see that it's not that obvious that I've done it. That's all welded up now. Appearance wise, that's pretty good to me. I've measured it with the tape measure, all perfect, all symmetrical. That's how it's going. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to drill holes in here and bolt it through the floor. Just initially I'm just going to mark a spot where each hole is, move the spring box and then drill them. All the top mounts now bolted up because I've used these bolts that I bought, so they're all in nice and clean. So all this side's done. I've still got the lines to run on this side, lines to run. I've still got the struts to fit on the other side. Started putting this strut in. They shouldn't take me much longer now, so I've already sanded them down. Rear ones I know what I'm doing now, so shouldn't be too long. Now I've got the pump placed in just provisionally where it's going to go. You can see how much more room I've basically gained by chopping all that back. There's still more to go and it needs angling slightly more flat, so pulling this way a bit. The solenoids are going under there, all the switches and all the wiring is a bit of a mess, so I'm not that keen on it. But they're going like that, and then I can show you from underneath. Luckily I haven't capped the wheel well off, because I've got perfect access to all the lines now, which are going through those holes. So I've decided I'm going to mount the pump to this metal here. So I've marked off where it is. I just need to drill the holes because I've got 2 screw holes where that can go into, and then I'm going to mount this to the body, and I'm going to mount that to that. So I've just done potentially the most horrendous job I've ever had to do. Getting the hydro lines from the solenoids up into the spring box. So you can see why it was horrendous, because underneath here, this is like the room that I'm working with. So they're in now. All I have to do now is just run the lines from each strut into them, basically. So get them run now. So finally got every single line fitted now. So the pump's all fitted, the solenoids are all fitted. Every line now, I've just got 3 more lines to fit to the struts. I've now just got onto my wiring, so I've got a few little earth cables and positive cables, 12 volt supplies. So I'm just gonna crimp some of these, drill a hole in here for my earth, crimp it through one of these yellow ones, and then I've just got to reconnect this one here. So I'm just gonna do these, and then gonna get the struts in. So second front strut in. I've got the top mount issue sorted, just rearranged how it goes. I've got both rear lines attached and connected. I've got all the struts now. All the struts connected now. I literally just have to run the front lines from the solenoids to the front. The one last job I've got to do before I can get it on the floor, put some wheels on and get it on the floor, is put some oil in it. So I'm going to do that now. Right, so I'm giving up for tonight. It's 20 to 3. I'm giving up for tonight. I mean, everything's in. I got it down on the ground, and then I couldn't get the pump to activate, and just there's something niggly wrong with it. So I need to go back and check my other videos and check that I've got my wiring in the right place. It's bound to be something simple. But at the minute my brain's just frazzled, so I just cannot even be arsed. So that's me for tonight. I'll come back to it tomorrow. Right, I'm back to work on the pickup now. Last video, we got it down the ground and had an electrical problem. It won't go up and down. I won't get in alive to something, and some of the wires were in the wrong place. So I've gone away, I've had to think about it. I've come back with a fresh head and some new information. I've got some wiring diagrams to go off now, and I've got my multimeter. So hopefully I'll be able to diagnose the issue tonight. I didn't film as much as I wanted to because I messed up the lens, and I had to leave it for a bit and reboot the camera. So there's not as much footage of me actually working on it, and there's more just me explaining. But to be fair, the whole day was a bit of a nightmare. It didn't really go to plan. I spent way too long working on it, and in the end it just didn't work. So I'm back now. It's all fitted. I'm at the same situation. It still doesn't work. So these are the wiring diagrams that I've gone and got. So I've got these and that to go off. Hopefully by reading these and by going over all the wires, I should be able to diagnose the problem. I've pulled all the wiring out now. I've taken absolutely everything out, because basically going off the diagrams that I've got, nothing makes any sense. So what I'm decided to do is take everything out, and I'm going to rewire the full thing. Once it's done, there should be no reason why it shouldn't work. As long as I follow the diagram, it should work and it should go in. So I've pulled the full thing out now. Go left like that. I'm going to plumb it back in afterwards, and it should work. And if it doesn't work once I plumb it back in, then I'm taking off and buying an air ride. Shout out to Kistery with the bangers. Shout out to the heater. They're the only sharks you'll ever see on this channel. A lot of the colours are wrong, so I've had to improvise with that. I've basically rewired it completely different to how it was. It's all following a guide now, a diagram, so if it doesn't work now, I'm going to get in a mood and I'm going to go home. Simple as that. So it's taken me fucking ages, but I think I've got it working. I'm actually buzzing because this has been stressing me out for so long. I've got the switches to work now, they are actually moving something. Yeah, I've got the switches to move something. I've got to fill up some more oil now, but it is actually doing something. I'm just letting the batteries charge for a minute. Current situation, I've dropped it to the ground again. It's now set on the ground. However, the switches are now operating the pump, so the pump's making a noise, but it's not getting any, not letting any fluid through for some reason. So I need to investigate that. Fully rewired everything following a guide. I plugged it all back in, and I could get the pump to activate, but I couldn't get it to pump any fluid up into the shocks. So what I've now done is, like a dickhead, forgotten to put an earth on. So I found the earth and it now works. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set the camera up and I'm going to show you it bouncing. That fucking alarm again. Finally, it's down on the ground, it's working, hydros are working, everything's plumbed in how I wanted it. I'm happy with it now. Probably put about 40 hours graft into this, so I'm pleased to say the least. Gives me a lot more, basically now it's on hydros, gives me a lot more flexibility now because I've actually got working suspension, so I'm buzzing with that. Decided now that before I end the video, I'm going to show you it with the wheels on, with the XXRs on. Show you how it sits, gives you a better vision of what it's going to look like. Now I've got the XXRs fitted, I've got it down the ground. Each tyre's not holding air, so first problem is that the front isn't sat high enough because the tyre's flat, so it's not actually getting low enough. There's also some shit under the sump anyway. It's not getting low enough. The wing also isn't bolted on. The wing's not bolted on, and I haven't knocked the camber over on the top mounts. Got it set up standard. Now the rear gives me a lot more flexibility now because I've actually got working suspension, so I'm buzzing with that. Decided now that before I end the video, I'm going to show you it with the wheels on, with the XXRs on. Show you how it sits, gives you a better better vision of what it's going to look like. Now I've got the XXRs fitted,